covering news where you live. This is 5 News First at 4.
Good afternoon. The Arkansas Department of Environmental Quality hosting a public hearing this evening in Tontitown to hear concerns from local residents about the Eco Vista landfill there in town. We first told you about plans to expand the landfill last summer. Well, now the landfill's asking the ADEQ to extend a permit to continue releasing pollutants into the air. For several years, residents have raised concerns about the air quality near that landfill. Latest screening by the ADEQ reported 5 harmful chemicals in the air at higher than normal levels. Acrolein was reported at 4,900% over EPA regional screening levels. Benzene was reported at 209% over. Tonight, residents have a chance to voice thoughts on fixing this issue.
The landfill itself can fix these issues tomorrow if they use the proper equipment. There's flatbed trailers that have scrubbers you can pull in. You can hot tap, tie into all this stuff, use a caustic scrubber to neutralize these vapors and make them go away.
We did reach out to representatives from the Eco Vista landfill with no response. We did hear back from ADEQ, who tells us in part, quote, the purpose of the hearing is to allow members of the public to share perspectives. We're here to listen and record those comments so they can be considered during a review of this permit application.
Well, you're taking a look outside at our brand new Poto camera, and you can see there's the Sugarloaf Mountain off in the distance. This is a great camera, one of our many good cameras that we have here at 5 News. So excited for this. You can see beautiful sunny skies across the area. It's a great day to be outdoors. So if you have any sort of plans this evening, get out and enjoy this weather because it is perfect. Mid to upper 60s in northwest Arkansas, right around the low 70s for the River Valley. And you can see it is just great all across the region in terms of those temperatures. For the next 12 hours, clear skies. It's going to be a comfortable evening, slightly chilly as we head our way into tomorrow morning in the 40s. But as we make our way into the River Valley, same story. It's going to be a comfortable evening, so get out and enjoy it. We do have a couple of things to talk about, though. The pattern change is on the way for this weekend, and then early next week, we have the potential for maybe some rain and storms. I'll have more on that coming up.
All right, Joshua, thanks. Springdale Mayor Doug Sprouse says it's time for newer ideas and fresh eyes as the city continues to experience exponential growth. In his State of the City address this week, the mayor says $2.3 million in sales tax revenue in December was the highest in the city's history. A year and a half into a 2003 bond issue, the mayor says several projects, including a new fire station, park improvements, and shopping center developments are all underway. As downtown Springdale continues to develop, the mayor says parking will need to be addressed there. Says a lot of the improvements the city has made over the year is in large part to resident support.
We better continue to be good stewards of all that and continue to do what we said we would do. And so that we can continue that support, because when you're growing like Springdale, these bond issues are they're about they're definitely your largest tool and one of your few tools to help the best you can to stay up with growth.
Coming up tonight on your 5 News at 5, we'll have more on both Springdale's and Rogers' State of the City addresses and how they both expect to manage growth in both cities. President Trump focused on the war in Ukraine during a meeting with Britain's Prime Minister today. Prime Minister Keir Starmer arrived at the White House for talks with the president about ending the war between Russia and Ukraine. Starmer is pushing the president to get assurances that if there is a peace deal, the U.S. will help provide security agreements to stem Russian aggression. The president says he wants Europe to provide the security agreements and added the new deal that would give the U.S. greater access to Ukraine's rare earth minerals will help keep the peace.
They're going to get us into that country. We'll be working there. We'll have a lot of people working there. And so in that sense, it's very good. It's a backstop, you could say. I don't think anybody's going to play around if we're there with a lot of workers.
Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky will meet with the president at the White House tomorrow. President Trump says a peace deal to end the war between Russia and Ukraine is making progress and could happen very soon. The measles outbreak in Texas is growing today. An unvaccinated child has died, the first death from measles in the U.S. since 2005. Largest outbreak to hit Texas in decades, has grown to more than 130 cases now. It has also spread to New Mexico. On CBS Morning, CBS News chief medical correspondent Dr. John LaPook discussed the virus he called extraordinarily contagious.
In addition to it being very infectious, it has a long incubation period.
What do you mean?
So when you if you were to get infected, it would take 10 to 14 days for it to actually get sick. During that time, you could travel all over the place.
And spread it.
And spread it to an airport, to a store, feeling fine.
Measles symptoms include a high fever, cough, watery eyes, red body rash, of course. Doctors stress the measles vaccine, given in 2 doses, is 97% effective against that virus. Law enforcement in New Mexico have released new details in the death of Oscar-winning actor Gene Hackman. Bradley Blackburn reports deputies found the 95-year-old and his wife and their dog dead in the couple's Santa Fe home.
As the investigation continues at the mountaintop home of actor Gene Hackman, authorities have more questions than answers.
It's not normal to find 2 people deceased in a residence. That's concerning. And then there was also a dog that was in a kennel that was also found deceased.
On Wednesday afternoon, the actor's body was found along with the body of his 64-year-old wife, Betsy Arakawa, and their dog. Officials said they may have been dead for some time. There were no signs of a gas or carbon monoxide leak and no obvious signs of foul play. Pills were found scattered near Arakawa.
I think the autopsy is going to be key, and the toxicology.
It was a great fun experience.
Hackman was a Hollywood mainstay for 5 decades, and there's been an outpouring of tributes to the Oscar winner on social media from co-stars and collaborators, including Francis Ford Coppola. The prolific filmmaker directed Hackman in the 1974 thriller The Conversation, calling the actor magnificent in his work and complexity.
Don't sell that cow.
Hackman first made a name for himself in the 1967 film Bonnie and Clyde, winning a Best Supporting Actor nomination. His first Academy Award came in 1972 for his portrayal of Jimmy Popeye Doyle, a hard-edged New York City cop in The French Connection. He won a second Oscar 20 years later for his role as a brutal small-town sheriff in the film Unforgiven.
Take the gentleman's cape.
Hackman proved his versatility playing the criminal mastermind Lex Luthor in 3 Superman films, a coach with a checkered past in the classic Hoosiers, and a right-wing senator forced to dress in drag in The Birdcage. In 2000, he downplayed his skills in an interview with CBS's Martha Teichner.
I feel that in some ways that my efforts at being an actor are so all instinctive, and that I hadn't really maybe paid my dues in terms of my contribution.
But many are now honoring Hackman's lifetime of contributions to cinema. Bradley Blackburn, CBS News.
The Vatican says that Pope Francis is showing signs of improvement, but it is too soon to say if he is out of danger. 88-year-old pontiff spending his 14th night in a hospital in Rome. Vatican says due to the complexity of his clinical picture, more time is needed before doctors are willing to give a prognosis. Tonight, he was able to make it to the small chapel that is on the 10th floor of the hospital. Happening tonight, a group formed to oppose the Franklin County State Prison is meeting in Fayetteville. Gravel and Grit was born out of the Franklin County and River Valley Coalition. They are hosting the event at 6 o'clock tonight at the Fayetteville Town Center. State Senator Brian King will hold a Q&A discussion on crime reduction, public safety, as well as jail overcrowding. That event is open to the public. Also, now, the Arkansas Department of Transportation is showing off plans to further improve Towson Avenue in Fort Smith, and they want your input. The project will mill and inlay Towson from Garrison to Zero Street. They'll also provide additional drainage and ADA compliant sidewalks. A public hearing is going on right now, in fact, until 7 o'clock tonight at the main library building on Rogers Avenue. A local coffee shop serving up one last cup at its original location today. A road expansion project forcing Dodo Coffee Company in Fayetteville to close its doors, but not for good. 5 News reporter Morgan Wrigley shares how they plan to keep the coffee flowing.
If you've driven down MLK in the morning, you've probably seen a long line wrapped around this little building behind me here at Dodo Coffee Company. And today that line forms for one last time here as the state's road expansion project is going to level this building. But the owners here say, although they're losing their first building, they're not going to lose their customers. Dodo Coffee Company opened just over a year ago, and from the start, the owners knew this day might come. The state's road expansion project means their building has to go, but their business isn't going anywhere. Instead of closing down completely, they're moving forward with a mobile coffee trailer, a temporary solution to keep serving their customers while they work on building a new permanent location. In the final days, regulars showed their love by covering the building in their signatures, a bittersweet send-off for a place that quickly became a favorite. Owner Isaiah Ojeda says this may be a big change, but it's also a chance to keep growing. And he says looking back on the past year, the quick growth of this little shop has been unbelievable.
We just kind of turn the open signs on one day, and there's people that have been coming from the first week. There's people that just started coming this week. The first day we opened, you go and look at sales at the end of the day, it's like, well, we didn't even cover payroll. Like, we legitimately did not cover payroll. And now today, on a day like today where, we're blocking traffic and there's people at the walk-up.
The team here says their coffee trailer should be up and running within the next 3 weeks. It'll be right here where the building is now on MLK. And they say it may just have some limited hours at first. In the meantime, they're working on building a new permanent location from the ground up. They just announced that will be located on Weddington, and they're encouraging all customers to follow along on their social media. In Fayetteville, covering news where you live, Morgan Wrigley, 5 News.
A 16-year-old in Fort Smith presented a big award today. Nevia Kirsten was selected as the local winner of the Cox Mobile and Boys and Girls Club of America cell phone case design winner. Today, she was given a $500 tech gift card package, the Fort Smith Boys and Girls Club. Her artwork was inspired by her dreams of becoming a healthcare professional.
I really am passionate about art, but I also am super passionate about healthcare and finding ways for people in rural areas and those who don't have access to healthcare. I want to help bridge that gap.
Nevaeh will now go on to compete against other winners in other states for the chance at a $25,000 scholarship for herself.